Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Steamer Crawley coming with another video. Today, some more April International Challenge battles, pretty much VGC 17 rules. So this is going to be the last video I do with this Lele Drifblim team. So I had a pretty good run. It was fun to use during this competition. I had a lot of experience with it. I knew pretty much what to do in most situations, so it was a lot of fun. And so we're going to get into this first battle. My opponent had a team of Tapu Koko, Arcanine, Tapu Bulu, Porygon 2, Celesteela, and Garchomp. So pretty interesting seeing Tapu Koko and Tapu Bulu on the same team. I think this might be the first time I've ever seen it. But so he does have that Porygon 2, but his Pokemon aren't really that slow to where Trick Room would be like, that'd be like a Porygon 2 like a Trick Room Porygon 2. So just because he had Garchomp, he had Tapu Koko, he had Arcanine, which are all pretty fast. So I was like, I don't know if he's really going to set up a Trick Room, or if it could be some other set, or maybe even a Trick Room counter. So that's how I decided we Lele Drifblim anyways. And then I'm going to bring Pheromosa here. It's going to help out with his two Tapus, especially against the Tapu Bulu. It's going to be good against the Porygon 2. Even pretty decent against the Garchomp as well with Ice Beam. And I decided to go with my own Garchomp here instead of my Gyarados, just because he does have Tapu Koko and the Arc. Well, he has Tapu Koko mainly, so he doesn't really have a way of dealing with my Garchomp besides his own Garchomp, and maybe Ice Beam on the Porygon 2. So that's why I decided to go with that. It's a little bit better than the Gyarados. So let's go and get started. He's going to lead Tapu Koko Arcanine. And like I said, I'm going to lead Lele Drifblim. So I'm in a good spot here. Just because, unless if that's a banded Arcanine, neither of his Pokemon can one-shot either of my Pokemon. Because this Electric Train's not going to be up. I'm going to get the Psychic Seed boost. So a Thunderbolt won't knock me out. And a Flare Blitz wouldn't knock out Lele either. So he'd have to either have to double target something, or I'm just going to get like a Tailwind, and I'm going to pick up my own knockout with Psychic. So no protects. So we do see Thunderbolt. He's going to go in the Drifblim. I'm like, well, I'm perfectly fine with that. And then we do see Flare Blitz as well. So I was like, wonder what he's going to target here. He does go into the Drifblim, so he does go for the double target. So it's going to be a knockout for him, but it's also going to be a knockout for me. And this is pretty much ideal for me in every battle, because Drifblim's kind of dead weight once he sets up Tailwind. I mean, he can be good. He can get up the Will-O-Wisp. He can get up a potential Rain Dance and stuff like that. But at this point, I get to bring in my Garchomp. And you see, with the Focus Sash, Tapu Koko coming in clutch. So he's going to switch out into his Porygon 2. And so he's actually going to switch out his Arcanine as well, so that double switch. He's probably predicting like an Earthquake Protect, or excuse me, yeah, an Earthquake Protect. And we are going to see the Tapu Bulu as well. So unfortunately, I don't have Poison Jab, but I just go for a Swords Dance. I was thinking he's going to protect or switch or whatever. So I went for Psychic into the Tapu Koko slot, just because there wasn't much Arcanine could do to my Garchomp, especially since he revealed Flare Blitz, so he's most likely not going to have Will-O-Wisp. But without the terrain, it's going to do significantly less damage. So here on this round, I'm going to go for my Z move, just because I don't really need it, especially since I'm at +2. I won't need it against Arcanine or Tapu Koko. So it's going to be a good opportunity for me to pick up a knockout here onto the Porygon 2. Because it's probably going to have Ice Beam, so I don't want it to be able to do any damage to me. So it's going to be a nice knockout for me. Dragon Claw might have done the trick. Didn't want to risk anything. Just wanted that guaranteed damage. And Psychic does a lot. I got the crit there, which was insane. And since he's going to go for Wood Hammer here, so I'm like, oh, that's perfect. He's going to knock himself out with his own recoil. So a big double knockout there. Got kind of lucky there with the crit, but I'm going to bring in Pheromosa, and it wouldn't matter because Pheromosa would be able to pick up the knockout onto his Tapu Bulu. So what's unfortunate here is I don't have Protect on my Pheromosa. So I don't necessarily want to go for an Earthquake here, especially because Tailwind's getting, I believe there's only one turn of Tailwind left, so we can double protect. So he's going to protect with this Tapu Koko. So here I'm like, I'll just go for some single targets, I was thinking. So he's just going to go for the double protect, stall at the last turn of Tailwind, kind of see what I'm going to do as well. So I went for Poison Jab into the Tapu Koko, just guarantee that knockout. I went for Dragon Claw on the Arcanine. Since Arcanine's not going to have any spread moves, it's not going to be too big of a deal. So he tries to go for the double protect on Tapu Koko. But, I mean, he would have needed a triple protect. Well, I guess his Arcanine probably had extreme speed. So I guess he would only needed that double. But even at that point, I could have just gone for Earthquake. So, I mean, at the end of the day, there's nothing he can do to my Garchomp. But he actually ended up having the Will-O-Wisp on the Arcanine, which is really interesting to see with Flare Blitz. But, you'll see, I go for Earthquake here just because I knew Pheromosa was going to outspeed my Garchomp, so I was like, I'll just go for the Poison Jab and the Earthquake. But it's not even going to do half to my Pheromosa. And we're going to see the Citrus Berry on the Arcanine. But at this point, there's not much my opponent can do. My Pheromosa is at +1, and then Garchomp's also at +1. So I don't even need to risk an Earthquake anymore. I can just go for the Poison Jab Dragon Claw, and that'll be enough to pick up the knockout, even through the burn, but they're both going to be at +1. So here we're going to see the extreme speed, and my Pheromosa is barely going to hold on, which, I mean, wasn't too big of a deal. Earthquake would have, or even if Pheromosa was gone, Earthquake would have done more damage because it would have been single target, so it probably would have been able to pick up the remaining damage needed on the Arcanine. So pretty much the Bulu and the Porygon did nothing. The Bulu got to pick up the knockout onto Tapu Lele, and Porygon 2 got to do absolutely nothing. It was taken care of before it could even do anything. So Drifblim also didn't get to do any, or he set up Tailwind and that was it. So that was kind of the ideal turn 1, I feel, for this team. Unless if he had something like, I don't know, like if he led with Tapu Bulu, I would have wanted my Drifblim to stay around so I could Will-O-Wisp it. But against an Arcanine Koko, I want my Drifblim to go down so I can bring in something else for offensive pressure. So a lot of people predict the Protect Tailwind, so since I run Specs, they can't, or they might predict the Protect, but if they don't attack or even knock out Lele, it's just going to be, it usually turns into a free knockout for me, especially with so many Tapu Kokos. Most people will be Tapu Koko. I'll bring in my Lele out under speed so my terrain gets set up and I'll just be able to Psychic and pick up the automatic knockout. So, unfortunate for my opponent, but he still played it pretty well. I just played it a little bit better. So let's go ahead and move on to the second battle. My opponent had a team of Incineroar, Mimikyu, Alolan Muck, Porygon 2, Milotic, and Vikavolt. So, very interesting team. I saw lots of Incineroars in this challenge. I have no idea why. But he's definitely got a Trick Room team with... Well, the thing with Mimikyu is you never know if it's going to be Trick Room or not, but he does have Vikavolt, and he does have Muck and Milotic, which are all relatively slow. So, here I'm thinking he's going to lead with Porygon 2 or Mimikyu to try and set up the Trick Room. So that's why I lead with Pheromosa, just in case he leads Porygon 2. Or even the Mimikyu I can still take care of with like a Poison Jab Psychic or something. Or even a U-turn Psychic. So that's kind of what's going through my head. I prefer Garchomp here, or excuse me, Gyarados over Garchomp since he does have so many physical attackers with Incineroar, with Mimikyu, with the Muck. So, and Gyarados isn't, or excuse me, Garchomp isn't getting much done here. The Dragon Stab isn't going to be all that good. And he doesn't really have any electric. I mean, Porygon 2 could have Thunderbolt, but he doesn't have any like Tapu Kokos, or he does have the Vikavolt, but that's going to be a separate problem. So he leads Incineroar, Mimikyu. I lead Tapu Lele, Pheromosa. So what's good here is I can't get hit with Fake Out, as my opponent unfortunately does not know. So I get the U-turn off into the Mimikyu, and that's going to automatically break its disguise. So now it's pretty much it's set up for a knockout from the Tapu Lele. So here I bring in Drifblim. So that was kind of my idea. So I was like, okay, well now Drifblim comes in, and we're going to see if he sets up Tailwind or not. Or excuse me, if he sets up Trick Room, so I can set up my Tailwind. So I get the Psychic off, and that's going to be able to pick up the knockout. So perfect turn one for me. No Fake Out from my opponent, and then a free knockout into the Mimikyu. So that does mean he gets to bring in Porygon 2, and I mean, here he can set up the Trick Room as well. But I mean, there's not much my opponent can do to me in this position, since I mean the Incineroar can go for like a Darkest Lariat into either of my Pokemon, and the Lele's not going to be doing all that much damage, and then the Drifblim, it doesn't really matter. So I was actually really surprised that it took me out right there. The ones I've been playing against, I've been surviving with like in between 15 and 25% health. So I was like, oh, this one's going to be a little bit more offensive. So I'll bring in my Gyarados here. It's going to do well against the Incineroar. And then I get the Intimidate off. So Incineroar's offensive pressure is greatly weakened. So here I protect because I want to see if this Porygon 2 does have Thunderbolt or not. So he's actually going to go for a cover. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. It doesn't look like, or depending on the roll, if I got a low roll, and then now I get a high roll, I might be able to pick up a knockout on the Porygon 2. But Incineroar, you see after the Intimidate, does less than 50%, but he does get the burn. So he might be able to two-shot me now. But I go for Psychic in the Porygon 2. That actually picked the knockout, so I guess the last one was a low roll, and this time I got the max roll. So no complaints whatsoever from me. But now he's going to bring in Muck. So we get a solid 4-2 on our hands. So here I'm like, Pheromosa isn't really all that important. So because now I need to decide, okay, what am I going to switch in? What am I going to switch out to guarantee my victory here? So we're going to see the knockoff in the Gyarados. That does a lot of damage. Unfortunately, I didn't get the knockoff in the Muck. But I went for the Earthquake since it was going to be super effective on both of them. And like I said, Pheromosa here is kind of just getting sacrificed. Just because at this point I have 4 Pokemon, he has 2. I need to start deciding what I want to keep and what I don't. So Pheromosa is not really going to be able to. I mean, I can get like a high jump kickoff onto the Incineroar, but since Trick Room's up, it's going to be a little difficult. So here he's going to. I protect with Gyarados. I'm just trying to stall the Trick Room pretty much, and so I protect against the Poison Jab, and he goes for the Flare Blitz and the Pheromosa, which is fine. That's just going to be basically free damage for me. Another turn of Trick Room stalled. So my Tailwind's going to go away, and so is the Psychic Terrain. But I'm just going to bring Lele back in to bring that back up. So I'm still in a tricky spot here, just for the lack of Protect, since I am running Earthquake. So from Muck, we're going to see the Poison Jab into the Tapu Lele, and Tapu Lele is going to go down. So I wish I would have got the Intimidate off here into the Muck, just because it's been doing so much damage, and he's going to go for the Darkest Lariat, but I am going to barely survive with 5 HP, also thanks to that Intimidate from earlier. So we're going to bring both those Pokemon super low, and we're going to see a Berry pop onto this Incineroar. I'm like, are you kidding me? So Figgy Berry and Incineroar. I mean, the kind of berry depends, but Trick Room's going to expire, so but here, unless I get a crit on this Incineroar, it's not going to matter, and I don't. So that berry coming in clutch, that was not part. I mean, of all these Incineroars that I've gone up against, not one has had the 50% berry. Even if he had the Citrus Berry, I might have been able to pick up the knockout and win. So I honestly don't know what to say. I was really surprised when I saw that berry pop. I mean, I can't really get upset. It's just that's the first incident where I've seen a 50% berry, and it seemed like it was a really offensive one too. And I guess that would make sense because of all the flare blitz recoil. But if I would have set up a dragon dance, I don't know if it would have been possible because it's not like or I guess I could have. The one turn that I brought in Gyarados and I protected immediately because I was gonna see if his Porygon 2 had Thunderbolt. That turn that he recovered, if I would have set up a Dragon Dance, I would have won. Just because I would have been able to, like, one, I would have picked up the knockout on Muck to where the following turn my Earthquake would have been single target and it would have done more damage to the Incineroar anyways. And even if you didn't even count that, the extra damage would have been enough to pick up the knockout. His berry probably wouldn't have even popped. So just something I wasn't considering, something I would have never considered. So it was well played by my opponent. I mean, it was well played by my opponent. I can't get mad either. I did good at the beginning, taking out that Mimikyu, and that was a good play by me. But just if I could have gotten Intimidate off on that Muck or whatever, I would have been in better shape. So well played. I had a lot of fun in this challenge, and I also had a lot of fun with this team. Might be something that I bring back later. I guess it'll kind of depend on how the meta goes as well. So I feel like one of the biggest weaknesses of this team is the rain matchup, just because Golduck will or at least with mine, how it's trained, Golduck will outspeed me, and then it'll be able to knock me out. It can Hydro Vortex or even Hydro Pump in the rain. Probably picks up the knockout, so in the future, maybe I'll bring like Gastrodon or so, put Gastrodon on the team or something with Storm Drain or something that can just eat up water type moves. So that's gonna be it. I really, like I said, I really enjoyed this team. The setup Pokemon. With my next team, I'll probably put on some more Protect users, just because it was hard, especially running Earthquake with this team. It was hard not having Protect. I mean, I did have Drifblim. I also had Gyarados for if I had Garchomp next to me. But, I mean, Gyarados had Protect, Garchomp had Protect, and I think that's it. I don't think anything else had Protect, so it was... Oh, Magnezone also had Protect, so kind of like my three carries, except... Well, I guess Pheromosa is a carry as well. But, I don't know, that might be something that I change in the future if I bring this team back. I'll also probably switch up. I don't know. I might take Gyarados out for Arcanine, just because that Fire Stab is so good to help out with so many things. So that's pretty much going to be it. Be coming at you with a new team soon. I already know what I'm going to be doing, so I'm pretty excited for it. So you guys will have to see what kind of cheese I come up with next. So yeah, that's pretty much going to be it. If you got any suggestions for me, let me know. If you want to battle me, also go ahead and let me know, whether it's singles or doubles or VGC or whatever. Just let me know. But that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.